So, hello, I'm Sally Reed, and with me is Kim. And I work with the energy of the universe, and I also work with the energies as they interact with each other. And today, Kim has a really great question about energies that interact. So, Kim, please ask your question.
Okay, how can I balance the energy in my home? I have a 14-year-old daughter who is going through puberty. I'm also menopausal, so we have some hormones going, and I just want peace in my home. And how do I get the right balance of energy here?
That's a really great question, and that is a question for the ages. Now, I'm going to slip down deep, and and I'll warn the viewers that sometimes my syntax gets weird, or I'll say odd things, or I have a weird look on my face. I'm channeling when I do that. So I'm going to channel this one directly from the guides because it's a big question. So what happens at this point in the life between mothers and daughters is a long-standing biological rule, and it is the rule of disbursement. And so as the mother reaches her end of stage viability and the daughter comes into viability, there has to be an understanding of power dynamics. And that's all it is the understanding of power dynamics. In lower primates, it usually ends up in the dispersal of the male, not the female. The male is displaced. But in humans, we tend to disperse the younger female, which is good and correct. So as she tests, as she checks, as she pushes, as she argues, she is learning, because this is the moment in her life when her brain is growing, and she is learning and trying to understand her role as a woman in the world. And so she uses her burgeoning power to check your power. So she's checking your rules. She's checking your strength. And as we mentioned earlier, the more powerful, the stronger the mother, the more the child will check. Now, we don't mean strong as in unyielding and unbending, for the strongest tree is a tree that bends in the wind. That is always the strongest tree. We mean steadfast. We mean understanding, but holding the core of the moral ground, engaging only when it matters for the health, life, and safety of the child. So a highly sensitive child and a highly sensitive woman, which is what we have in this case here, may tend to have such nuanced moments of friction, that it's almost impossible to yield to that. So this is what we would advise. In your current situation, if she begins to find buttons, because she's been learning how to play your tune since she could walk, well, actually nurse. This is actually what's going on. So she will be looking for her tune to play. And when she finds a tune and you find her moving your feet, what you do is stop for a moment and ask, is this a battle I want to have? It's as simple as that. Is this a battle I want to have? And the answer is no. You withdraw your energy. You pull it back and you stand your ground and say, either is this worth talking about right now to the child? And the child may certainly tell you it is. Or the more fun thing, what do you need? What is your point? What are you after? Engage them to use this brain, because they may not understand. For example, if a daughter and mother argue about going somewhere, and the daughter wants to go and the mother feels that it's a safety issue that the daughter is yet to comprehend. So when she engages, you simply ask her, I understand you want to go, but what is your point? Why is it so important that you go over my understanding of your safety. So if you can turn it into a logical rather than an emotional discussion, it ends up being better for both the child and the mother. If the child refuses to go logical, then simply say, the discussion is over, and end it there. Because as long as she is under legal age and being fed and housed by you, you are alpha female. You don't need to crush the child. You simply need to withdraw and say, this discussion is over. And that is the strong position. Do you see how that's a strong position?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
how does that feel?
Well, I felt just a calmness come over me. And then in the back of my mind, I'm going, will she accept that? Right.
And you know what? It doesn't matter whether she does or not, right, because you are the leader. And as you lead, she shall follow.
Okay.
My daughter, as you well know, is in her late 20s now and extremely intrepid, right? We know this about my daughter. Yes. And she learned it by my holding my firm ground. She learned how you are showing her what firmness is. Unfortunately, frozen now, but that's okay. It'll come back.
Oh,
there. Were you getting
a call? We're back. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back. I can hear you, but not see you.
Okay. I could hear you and not see you as well. Let's see. There you are. Jinx. Okay, so the last thing I heard was your daughter's intrepid, as I well know, and then it went.
And she learned her strength and backbone essentially from me.
Right.
I bend the universe to my will.
Right. Right.
And so when your daughter sees you stand, now you're a different kind of mother than me. You are a very nurturing mother, and your impulse first is to nurture. And my impulse first was to lead. So there is a perfect balance in that. And what this perfect balance is simply taking 1001, 1002, is this nurturing to engage?
Right.
It's a simple question. Am I nurturing my daughter to engage at this moment? What am I teaching her? To fight with me?
Right.
We live our lives so automatically that we never take that 1,000 second to ask ourselves the simple questions. What does she want? And what do I want? And how is this helping us achieve this? It's those very simple things.
That's a good point, because I react so quickly when half the time before someone even finishes their sentence, like you, right? And I react, I think, and then I go to speak instead of stopping, thinking, and then reacting.
But this isn't only about you. This is about the two of you. Right. So another interesting thing you can do when it comes to energy is remember that when you're at the very edge of your field, that you will be more sensitive to her button pushing when you are pulling yourself more to the center of your field. And so for the class, we're going to demonstrate. In fact, I'm going to take yours and you're in your body, so I'm just going to untie it and pop it up. Oh, that must feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's very uncomfortable, isn't it?
What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Bring it back in.
We're going to demonstrate how to pull it in. I know it feels weird, doesn't it? It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, that's how most people walk around, is just like that feeling. Can you describe it for the people?
I don't feel balanced, or now I feel like crying.
You know why? Because there's emotions everywhere and you're picking up on them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so weird because I did not feel like crying 5 seconds ago.
How cool is this?
It's not that cool.
All right. So let's demonstrate. So we're going to close our eyes and we're going to look for our balloon string. And you see yours already. But for the class, find your balloon string and just pull it down, pull it down, pull it down, pull it down until you can pull it back into your chest and let it rest gently inside your rib cage. Oh boy, yours is back. Now tell everybody how you feel.
I'm good again. Centered. Centered.
You see how easy it is to knock yourself off balance. That the child can push you around because she's checking her strength. Remember, where it's safe to do that. It's not safe to check her strength when she's out in the world. She needs her mother as a punching bag to see how strong she can be.
See, I like how you put it, because I always say, I feel like when I get home that I'm getting kicked in the nuts over and over. That's how I describe it to my husband. I'm like, I walk in and it's just like, bam. He's like, well, okay.
I thought I had the nuts in the family. Thank you very much. Oh, goodness. But see, now when you pull that in, if you can take a moment, and I'll say this to mothers of children of a certain age, if you can remember to do that simple, clear the work exercise, just clear your work from your body, just take a moment before you get out of the car and find your balloon and pull that sucker back in. And then remember, you just simply need to ask yourself a couple simple questions.
Right.
Is this important to engage right now? Now, it could be important to her. And here's an interesting thing. Have her defend why it's important. You're teaching her how to stand and talk on her feet. What an amazing skill this is for life.
Right.
The whole point of mothering is to raise adults and not children. And so this is the moment. Now, she may not appreciate it, but this thoughtful parenting will go so far for her in life.
So this is
reading about stuff, right?
Right. And that's what she said to me the other day when she said, oh, you're a good parent because you explain and you let me explain my side. But I never really thought of it that way. I just thought, okay. And she has changed our minds a couple times on allowing something. I was like, that's a pretty good argument. Okay. And then I think that makes her feel proud and accomplished when she's able to, I mean, it's not always the outcome she wants, but when it is, I think she feels like she matters.
Now, your daughter is going to grow up to be an extremely creative and powerful woman. And if she is to run her own company, she will need to be able to defend her point and stand against the quote unquote powers that be. So your whole, raison d'etre at this point is to groom her for that. So think about that.
Yep. Yep.
Now, how do you feel?
Now I feel like there's a purpose to all of our fighting. It's worth it.
It is worth it because you're raising a powerful daughter. And powerful daughters are difficult to live with. I will definitely say that. Like my own daughter did not stop engaging with me until last year, and she still tried it a little bit this year.
Well, I have an 8-year-old coming up right behind her, and I think she's going to be, well, maybe I'll perfect it with Alex, and then by the time I get to Maya, it won't be as hard. I could only hope.
They're very different girls, though.
They are so different.
The fight will be new, and the fight will be more, the second daughter's fight is going to be more about, I don't trust my decision-making in this moment. Please, I want to fight with you about it so I can verify my point.
Right. That's so, that is so her. Like she doesn't trust. The older one thinks everything she says is right. And then the middle one is more like, well, right. Just like you said, I'm going to fight about this because I don't know if it's the right thing.
So she's using the arguments to congeal her thoughts.
Right. That's exactly what she does. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I never realized that. Wow. I'm writing all this down.
Okay. And parenting is...
So then what is my role in that then? If she's arguing
a sounding
with me,
board. A
Sound.
bouncing board. You know who you are? You're the Grand Vizier.
I'm getting kicked in the nuts again. Why am I keep saying that?
No, you're going to say that I am the sounding board for my children.
Okay. Right.
And so as a tree that is soft, bending and yielding with compassion, rather than, because the one thing I discovered, children who have too firm of boundaries fall apart when they leave home and go to college.
Right.
They don't have the footing to handle the rough places. Whereas children that are allowed to discuss and argue and engage and make mistakes in the home,
right,
do a much better job in life.
Okay.
So
All right.
let them have their mistakes. And one thing that's very my children really hated me about is that I would say, yes, go ahead. And this, and this is likely to happen. Call me.
And then it happens. And
then they hate you.
Yeah. Wow. Being a sounding board is going to be tough because I do try to solve. So I'm going to have to work on just
not solving.
And
you also may teach her just to go to your husband instead, because he'll sound beautifully to her.
He does.
Because he already does it for you. He knows how to do it.
He does. This is what I said to him. I go, because I'll say she's more like I am. So you put up with me, you could put up with Maya.
Yeah, you can teach her if you have a really, really thorny problem, go to Dad. He's your man.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think she needs to have a different relationship with men than what she already has in her head about it. My older one, I think, is on the right path with how she feels towards the opposite sex. But Maya, I think, is a little yields.
Would you like to know what she thinks?
Oh, God, yes, I do.
Men are here for my service.
That's exactly what I thought she thought. That is exactly.
Men are put on this earth to serve me.
Good for her.
Well, from a generation that was taught I was put on this earth to serve men.
Right. No, this is how I feel about Alex. But Maya, I get the opposite vibe. Like, she's like, oh, I yield to men. And I'm all like, oh, hell no. So I feel like I need to work on that with her. Like, yeah.
Remember that she's perfect exactly as her impulses are. So it's not that she needs to work on yielding to men. She needs to understand her impulse to yield to men. And is it serving her or not? Don't make her not do it, because it's who she is and perfect. So she just needs to understand that whether she's yielding because it's easier because they come at with hard energy, or she's yielding because it's something that she wants to do. Because there's a third option. She can withdraw and just not engage.
Got it.
I'm going to take my ball and go home. Thank you.
Right.
So sure that there is a third option, that it's not the man's way or the highway, or her way or the highway. It is, this is something I want to do or not do.
I like it her way or the highway. That's because that's how I am, right?
Well, yeah.
I yield sometimes.
No, you do yield. You're a very good, nurturing mother. I see you subjugating your needs for your children. That's yielding.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
It's an interesting mixture of power and nurturing that you have.
Yes. Yeah, because I always felt like I didn't think I would have kids. Of course, I have 3, but now that I have them, I feel like they need, and I want them to grow up to be amazing humans. So I try my best.
It's mostly, and I'm looking at this with white hair, right? It is mostly keeping them from killing themselves or other people or getting arrested. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And if they get arrested, it's not the end of the world.
Right. Yep. Yep. Yes. Yep. That's right. They came here with their purpose in mind. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Go. Well, thank you so very much. And I will post this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you as always. You're amazing.